Hi everybody, Jo here. Time for another little catch up. So if you want to grab your brew, get yourself comfortable and then we can get started. I thought I'd just pop in today with, got some lovely new Lavinia stamps. They've actually been released on Thursday the 19th of August. Better say 21 answer, just in case you're watching this next year. And I'm going to use a couple of them in this card today. There's some fantastic stamps, a really lovely collection, beautifully drawn by Tracy. And the design team, we've done quite a lot of work using them. But I thought I'd sort of pare it down. And today we're going to create this one design. But just to give you the heads up, and I'll just bring in a journal page that I created, look. So there's quite a few. You'll see some old favourites, Pippins on here, but you might just buy some new stamps, look. There's quite a few on here. So do keep your eye open for these. Like I say, depending when you're watching this, they may have already been released. So what I thought I'd do today is just use a few of them. So there's actually 1, 2, 3, just 3 of the new stamps that I'm using here. And I'm coming in with a technique we've done before because, again, you know, it's nice to do techniques that you already do and that you enjoy. But just often I find with new stamps, I like recreating designs I've already done. And I just try it with the new stamps. And if your mojo's a bit, or you're feeling a bit fed up, that's a great thing to do. Instead of trying to make yourself do all new stuff, just go to your comfort zone. And obviously mine's blending. Today we've got a bit of a change. The colours we're going to use, and I'll bring them in, we're going for mustard seed, crackling campfire, Candid apple. Now these are oxides purely because that's what's on my desk. You could use your distress inks. Now Sylvia emailed me and said she loves the blending and she's done quite a few of the cards that we have done with blending, but she's not really into brown, so could I mix it up a bit? So just for you, Sylvia, we're coming in with Wilted Violet. And me being me, what I tend to do is put the inks just at the side of where I'm working. And again, you can use smoothies. I'm just using the round blending tools. And I just happen to have one for each. Now, the size of the card we're using, this is for a DL, a slimline card, which I have to say I just find so elegant. And this one is 7 3/4 inches by 3.5 inches. And what we're going to do is we'll start with our blending. So I just like a nice piece of kitchen roll. And I'm going to come in, and again, I always start with circular motions. I'm just going to start at the top and get some yellow on here. So how are you feeling this week? I hope you're feeling okay. I've been a bit under the weather. Nothing serious, I just feel a bit, you know, under the weather. So do excuse me. My voice isn't particularly good at the minute, so it's just, but I think it's one of those things. I think that's going to be the first thing to happen whenever I get under the weather. But I know there's a lot worse, so I'm not complaining at all. And I hope if you're just feeling a bit under the weather, you can cheer yourself up. Right, so when we do our blending, I've put our yellow on. And if you remember, then I come in with the orange. And my next job is to work on this area where the two colours overlap. So without putting any more ink on, I'm just going to gently take a little bit of orange into the yellow. And then I'll come in with the yellow and again go over that bit just where it joins. And I'm quite happy with that for the minute. So I'll move into my red. And again, circular motions. Now your orange to red is going to be the easiest of your blending. Now it's up to you I find it easy to turn my card. But again, that's just for me. I'm anything for an easy life. Sorry, excuse me. Then I just want to come in with my orange into the red. And then again, red into the orange. I tend not to ink up at this stage. I tend to use whatever's on my blending tool. And last of all, I'm going to come in with my purple. Now, I know I've got yellow on my mat here, but that's fine. So Get this nice purple at the bottom. I must admit, I'm so pleased Sylvia emailed, because it just mixes it up a bit from the brown, doesn't it? So, more of those exercises for these bat wings here. It's like, by the time you've blended on these DL cards, I'll be out of breath. Right, so now I'm going to take the purple into the red, and I'm just going to work on this join. So again, come back with my red tool. Again, I'm not inking up, but I'm going to take the red into the purple. And it's just important to work on that join. So then I have a look at the whole thing and I see how it's looking. And I must admit, I'm really happy with this. A little bit more work there, maybe. Maybe just a little bit more red into that orange, purple, I think. Yeah, that's done it for me. I think that looks better. And here, I just want a little bit more, just light with the orange. And then I'm actually going to ink up my yellow and come in and come all the way down with my yellow into that orange. I often do this. I find it just gives that colour tone all the way down and helps it blend even into this purple look. And I just find that yellow, I'm not sure if you can see that, I just hold it still, how it helps. If I bring the light in a bit, I don't know if that'll help, how it just helps that colour tone, brings almost the yellowy. And then finally I'm just going to add a little bit more purple at the base, just to deepen that purple up a bit. Yeah, then I'm really happy with that. So I'm just going to put the lids on my inks, because you know what will happen if I don't. I'll put my elbow in them and then we'll have marks on the card, and we'll be needing that emergency butterfly like we do. So I think what we'll do now is we'll get on and add some stamping. And the first stamp we're going to use is this beautiful garden poppy. Now, you know I love poppies, and this is just so elegant. It will just add to the poppy collection. But we're just going to stamp this once, and I want its head sort of, I don't want it in the middle, so sort of off centre there. That'll do quite nicely. And again, just give it a minute for the ink to soak in, because obviously we put a lot of ink on there already, haven't we, blended it. You know, and again, if you're having one of those days where you're a bit maybe fed up, or you know, you just don't know what to do, maybe make yourself some toppers with the blending, maybe mix the colours up a bit, and then you could have a day stamping. So again, I'm just going to flex that block, and I just think that in itself is absolutely beautiful. Now, normally I would draw a line there, wouldn't I, to ground it. But we've actually got one of the new stamps is called Silhouette Grass, and that's perfect for grounding the poppy. And again, this is one of those stamps, I always call them unsexy stamps. They're the one that, you know, it's a bit like those chocolates. You've always got your favourites, and then you've got those chocolates at the end of the box that you don't really go for, but then when you eat them you think, oh, it's rather nice, that. Obviously, I'm not suggesting you eat your stamps. This is just one of those stamps that I think if you saw it hanging up with all the others, it wouldn't be one that you'd automatically go for. But I think it's going to be one of those that is going to be so useful. So, excuse me if my head comes in camera. I just need to get it so it's lined up with the bottom, but more importantly, I want it straight. So let's try that. And you know what? If it's not straight, I'm going to blame you. Now again, it's a silhouette here, so just give that ink time to soak in. Beautifully grounds it. I have to say, I just love that. I think it's so lovely. Now, the other stamp we're going to use, sorry, excuse me, I'll just grab a little drink of water. Do apologise. Definitely having one of those days with this throat. We've got 3 beautiful fairy charms and they are stunning. Now, I used this one in my original. Shall I mix it up and put... No, I like the straight line of that one. Again, if you're not sure, use your acetate. Bring your acetate in. Now, normally on my samples, I've been using these charms hanging down from trees, from the top of pages. They also look beautiful sideways, and you can stamp a sentiment on there. But for this one, I thought let's mix it up a bit and see if they look like they could be growing. So let's pop this one here. Then I'm going to stamp it twice more, but different lengths. So let's grab ourselves a little piece of paper that we can put on there. Maybe 2 little pieces of paper. Save that one. Don't throw anything away, do we? So if we ink up again, and then let's just pop one this side. Again, I want it a different height. I don't want 3 the same height. I don't want them looking like soldiers in a row. I want them to look quite natural, or like that too. Now, do we need, let me just look at this. Yes, I think it does need another little one there. Again, never be in a rush. If you want to change your mind, if you want to add an extra one or leave one off. I often do that, you know. I find it quite difficult to create exactly the same thing twice. So let's just pop this little one just there. And again, not much of this one showing. Let's have a look. Yes, I like that. I think that's just a lovely design for me. That works. And I'm just going to turn it over, give it a blot. Now, with the sentiment, what I've done is when I'm cutting my card, because I always use A4 and cut down, I have strips of card left and I never throw these away. So what I do is I stamp my lovely sentiments. So these are from the Heartfelt verses, and I have a strip and I just stamp the sentiment again and again, and then it's ready for when I need it. So I'm thinking this one, because if I have it off-centered, if I just trim, what I'm going to do is pop that on there. Trim that side, and then just trim that side. And the reason I've done that now is I'm going to add my black Sharpie line round. Just wipe my hand, otherwise we'll get black ink everywhere. And what I'm going to do, again, remember to press your card down, all 4 sides. And remember to be on the lookout for your gold, silver, copper Sharpies, ready for those Christmas cards. But I'm also going to just add it on my little topper with the sentiment on. So that's why I wanted to cut my topper to the right size before I did anything else. You see, there is a method in my madness. So one more, there we go. I'm glad a few of you have been trying this, and as long as you press down, honestly, it's fine. And then what I'm going to do now is we're just going to add lovely circle mask here, and one of our acetate masks. Now let's have a look which size. Oh yeah, that's too small. It's got to be that one, hasn't it? Now for this, I'm going to use a smoothie, and I'm going to have 2 colours open, the orange and the red, because if I use tone on tone, it may not show up very well. So what I'm thinking is, and that looks beautiful there. So let's go for the orange first. Always go on your mask. And I'm just using a flicking motion like we've done before. So like we did the other week on our owl cards, just a nice gentle flick. We want this to almost look like it's those, you know, sun's rays where you see them in the heat and they just sort of go away to nothing. So we don't want a harsh coffee ring round. And in fact, I'm just going to bring my yellow and just blend the edge of that with some yellow, and that'll just help that look perfect. And I'm going to turn this round, pop it back where it was, and now I'm going to use the red so that the red will show up better on my orange, and the orange has shown up nicely on the yellow. Just for me, that's just the sort of look I want today. I could have used one colour for the whole way around, but I just want to mix the two. And there we go. That's just the sort of look I wanted. That sort of, when you get those thermals, that's the word I'm thinking in my head, you know, those thermals rising. Mind, I do think I overthink it sometimes, don't you? Right, fan brush, which is in my water pot. And again, we'll just come in with some nice bit of flicking. You could leave it if you want, if you don't want to add your faux bleaching, but I just fancy a bit of water flicking myself. And then again, that's just going to take a couple of seconds. So what I'll do is I'll clean my acetate mask. Try and get in good habits in your craft room. One of the reasons why we lose things is because we don't put them away. So that's going back in my little pockets with the rest of the circle masks and back on my shelf behind me. And then we'll just give this a pat. And again, we'll mop up any. Now, normally I would leave that to dry naturally, but obviously, because we're here together, and I don't know whether you finished your brew or not, I don't know how long you've got to craft with me, so we'll give it a bit of a dry. And again, lift your card up front and back. Give it a good dry, it'll help keep it flat. Now I'm drying it for two reasons. One, because I'm going to add my white gel pen, but two, I'm going to add some of the glitter, and the glitter will stick just to start off with to all this ink, and I want to minimise that as much as possible. So I'm just going to come in. Don't want to add a lot of colour to this now. I want to keep it quite simple. So I'm just going to add a couple of white highlights, just nice little white lines. And again, I'm not overdoing it with the white. I want this to be, although it's got quite a heavily blended background, quite sort of clean and simple. Just a few lines there. And I'm thinking that's enough with that. So let's add some glitter. So with your glitter, quickie glue pen. Now some of the glitter may stick to the ink, as I say here, if it's not quite dry, but what we can do is we can tap that off. I just want a little bit down the stems, and again add some dots, and just round here, this is where I want it. So again, this could be little fireflies. And the colour I've gone for today is the Vintage Shimmer. I just fancied some Vintage Shimmer. There we go. Now again, tap it off. Give it a good flick. Now, like I say, where it's caught, where I didn't want it, let's give it a tap. Let me just see. It's not done too bad actually, because we just put the heat tool over it. Most of it has actually just stuck where we wanted it, which is good. Now let's pop this back in the pot. Now, I must admit, for me, these pots, there always seems more glitter to go back. So I do find if I tap the pot, it tends to just help the particles flatten down and I can get all that lovely glitter back in. Again, give it a good flick. There we go. And all that glitter's there ready to use next time. So what we'll do now is just pop our sentiment on. I'm just going to use a wet glue, just so that it gives me a bit of wiggle time. And again, I'm just going to use my finger. And we'll just add that there and there. Hardest bit is getting it straight, but I think by eye that looks straight to me. And again, me being me, I didn't want the sentiment in the centre. I like it just offset a little. And then the last little thing, we'll add some little flicks with our Posca. Now again, if you're the sort of person that doesn't like the Posca, leave it at this point. If you're happy with that, then you leave it as it is. Me being me, I wasn't meant to do that, was I? Me being me has to have a couple of flicks of Posca, couple on the bottom, even a large one there. I think there's going to be butterfly going over that, don't you? But if I just wipe that up, so that's a very quick, simple design. But again, as I say, when you get new stamps, you don't have to do anything. Just to start off with, just go with your techniques that you've done before. Now what I'll do, if I open this card out, then I can pop that on there. And there you've got the two. So as I say, this beautiful new poppy stamp, I have to say, so elegant. And I know sympathy cards aren't nice to make, but you know what? I think that would make a gorgeous sympathy card just with the poppy. And in fact, I think I may just have one, which I can just bring in and show you. There we go. Just the poppy, some brush hose, and with our lovely Lavinia sentiment. So I'm hoping that's given you some ideas with the new poppy stamp. Can leave that there, can't I? Just about get them in. So thank you for joining me. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Mind you, depends what time you're watching this. It could be the rest of your evening. I do believe I send some of you to sleep, so you watch me when you can't sleep. I don't quite know how to take that. So if you're ready for bed, have a good night's sleep. You take care. Thanks for everything. Much love and hugs from me. Bye for now.